Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list, I decided to pull 10 notes, and well, they're rather famous notes, and we are going to see how much they went up or down compared to the old book. We've got the old book, the 22nd edition, and the new book, Paper Money of the United States, the 23rd edition. This is the one that just came out. So I decided to go through, like I said, and pull out some of the more famous notes just to do a comparison as to how much they've gone up or down. Some of these are simply my replicas because I don't have them. But you know something? Everybody wants to know what the price is on those notes anyway. So what I did is I looked up a bunch of notes in grade 20. So we're not looking at what my note is worth. We're looking at what a grade 20 note is worth for that particular type. And that'll give us some idea of the value. You can go up or down from there based on condition of your own notes. But it gives you an idea of how much things are worth. So let's get started. They are in any particular order, but I do have the biggies at the end. Number 10 this week, I wanted to start with this one here. This is my 1869 legal tender note. Now, this particular one grades at 25, but we're talking about if the generic form, the 20 note, what would that be worth? And I wanted to start with this one because it had a huge jump, and I just wanted to explain why. The reason for the jump was that mine is a grade 25. So I looked up a grade 20 in the old book, and a 20 in the old book was 825, and the new book, it's 1,000. But in the old book, like I said, since this one's a 25, I wanted to look at a grade 20 and a grade 40 and figure it from there. So in the old book, we're talking $825 to $2,000. That was the range, and that's how I came up with a value. But then in the new book, that 825 jumped to 1,000, but that number for the grade 40 jumped up to $3,250. That's why this note had jumped so much in my ranking as far as how much my note is worth. But like I said, the note itself in a grade 20 went from $825 in the 22nd edition to $1,000 in the 23rd edition. So that one is number 10. Number 9. This one's just a replica. It's probably the biggest note on my wish list. This is a 1914 $100 Federal Reserve note. It has a very interesting back on it. As you can see, the back just does not look like American currency. It looks like something from ancient Rome. It looks like you'd see this on a temple or something, carved with, the major columns underneath it and stuff. Anyway, this particular note, the $10 Federal Reserve from 1914. Let me just check my stuff here. The old book listed this in a grade 20 at $800, and the new book jumped it all the way up to $1,450. So yeah, I should have got it before the new book came out, that's for sure. Grade 20 is $1,450 on the $100 Federal Reserve. And yeah, that's even for the blue seal. So that one is number 9. Number 8. Here's a porthole, and this one, well, the porthole note from 1923 is graded 20, so that was easy to figure. The porthole note in the 22nd edition, the porthole was, where is it on here? There it is. This was $1,100 in the old book, and in the new book, this had jumped up to $1,500. So a porthole, that's what you're talking in a grade 20 now, about $1,500. That one is number 8. Number 7. Here is my 1901 Bison $10 legal tender. This one in the old book was $1,350. So that one's pretty good. Anyway, $1,350, and in the new book, this one came out at $1,500. So another price jump. All of these are going to be going up. If any of my notes didn't go up, or if any of the notes I looked up stayed the same, I didn't include them in the list. So these are only the big name notes that actually did move. So the Bison, yeah, that one's up about $150. In a grade 20, you're talking $1,350 in the old book, but currently we're at $1,500. That one is number 7, 10987. Number 6. Another fun note, I've got my 1899 Chief note. Now, a chief note in a grade 20 in the old book was $750. I mean, that's a really cool image right there. If you don't have a chief, get one before they get way out of line. Like I said, a grade 20, this one was $750. When the new book came out, that price jumped all the way up to $975 for a grade 20. So these are in demand, and I'm sure they will be 4 digits when the next book comes out. So get one while you still can. Get one while they're cheap at only $925. That one is number 6. Number 5. Getting a little bigger. Here is the 1896 $5 educational note. A lot of people would consider this one of the most beautiful notes ever produced. Ever. A lot of people would most certainly call this the keynote in the educational series. So a lot of demand on this note. It's not necessarily rare, believe it or not. A lot of people saved these back then. So they are out there. They are, you are able to get them. The problem is the price. And in the old book, the price on this was $2,350 for a grade 20. Now, that price has shot up to $3,000. So if you haven't gotten your educational yet, you better start looking. The $3,000 price tag on a grade 20. Now, once again, you can go up or down based on the grade you're looking for, but in a grade 20, that's what we're talking. $3,000 on the $5 educational. That one's number 5. Number 4. This was a fun note. There are not many of these at all. And when I first discovered these, not that I discovered it, but when I first learned about these notes, you could get them for as cheap as $500. It's a $10,000 gold certificate. Now, a lot of you are going, how can you buy a $10,000 bill for $500? Well, because these were all turned in and redeemed, so they are no longer worth face value. So anybody that likes telling you that everything that the government ever produced is still worth at least face value, well, you can have mine for $10,000 because it's not worth it. Anyway, in the old book, this is, where is it? In a grade 20 in the old book, this, or actually, no, I shouldn't say that. In a grade 8 in the old book, this was $875. $875 in a grade 8. With the new book that just came out, in a grade 8, it's $1,500. So that's another huge jump. Once again, there are not a lot of these out there. And the more people that hear the story about this note, there aren't going to be very many for sale. So get one while they're still semi-affordable. Like I said, a grade 8 used to be $875. We're currently looking at almost double that at $1,500. That is number 4. Number 3. Back to the replicas. People were very curious about this note, so I decided we'll look it up. See if you know what this is. This is a replica of the Federal Reserve Bank note from 1914, but this is the St. Louis $50 bill. They only produced, 5,000 of these? So no, I don't have one. But this one here is the replica. The St. Louis $50 Federal Reserve Bank note. Just such a cool note to have. I will never own one. I'm sure I will never own one. But the price on a note like this, like I said, with the story only being 5,000 of them produced, they were $17,500 in a grade 20. Now that price has gone up to $20,000. So it's gone up $2,500 between books, from $17,500 all the way up to $20,000. That one's number 3. Number 2. Some of you know this note from the front. Some of you know it from the back. This is the $100 watermelon. Yeah, the watermelon note. Of course, it's not real, only a replica. But there are a few of these floating around, so you actually can get one. They're called the watermelon because of the way the zeros look like 2 giant watermelons on the back. They're just a really interesting pattern. Very cool note, very famous note, very popular note. The $100 Treasury note, otherwise known as the watermelon note. This one in the old book was in a grade 40. Okay, that was the highest grade that they listed for this. In a grade 40, they listed it at $225,000. That was the old book, $225K. The new book, $350,000. $350,000 for a watermelon. Yeah, big ticket item here. That is the watermelon, and that was definitely a big price gain. And finally, number one on the list, well, you know, if I'm going to have the watermelon, I most certainly have to have the Grand Watermelon, the $1,000 note of the same series. You can see there the watermelons on the back. Such a cool looking note. There's like maybe 5 of these floating around or something. They don't exist out there in the public. But the old book had one of these selling at auction for $1,527,500. That was the old book. The new book has it a little higher. $2,585,000. So it went up. It went over a full million, from 1.5 to 2.5 million. 2.585. $2,585,000. That's how much the Grand Watermelon has gone up. So if you bought a Grand Watermelon 3 years ago for 1.5 million, in 3 years you have turned that into 2.5 million. You have nearly doubled up. Pretty impressive for a $1 million note. All right, that's what I've got for you guys this week. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.